All right, so I've been training for over 30 years, and I've been coaching for almost 25 of those. Most of the terms used in the industry of bodybuilding I'm pretty familiar with. Even if I haven't heard the term, if you explained it to me, I'd pick it up pretty quickly just from all my experience. One of the things I've learned over the years is what's common to me might not be common to you. Just like if I was to go to your job, you explained your duties to me, and you started using terms and acronyms I wasn't familiar with, and you told me to execute, I'd probably not fare very well. I put this together to help everyone understand the program and expectations so that you can better achieve your goals. So all clients at Warrior Brutality Fitness use some form of progressive overload training. Progressive overload is the gradual increase of resistance over time that will increase strength, endurance, and muscle mass. I didn't come up with this idea. I learned it from Dante Trudell and Dr. Scott Stevenson, coaches who are well known for taking bodybuilders and putting so much mass on them, they literally jumped over weight classes from year to year. We're talking 25 to 30 pounds of lean muscle tissue. Now, I understand not everyone wants to be a mass monster or a muscle mommy. Some are just looking for that toned look. First, you can't tone a muscle. It grows and becomes more dense, or it shrinks. The toned look is all about body composition. You need to gain muscle, lose fat to achieve the look you're trying to achieve. Anyone who says, I don't want to gain too much muscle, never has to worry about gaining too much muscle. It just simply won't happen. Those who want to look like me choose to look like me, and it takes a lot of hard work, dedication, and suffering. One of the biggest misconceptions with progressive overload is that you need to increase resistance each week. It's simply not true. First, most of your mesocycles are set up for, you'll see the same exercise format every 2 to 3 weeks. Maybe you'll see the same exercise week to week, but not in the same format. Second, you can progress by increasing reps, which is adding volume, slowing down the tempo, which is increasing the time under tension, or just cleaning up sloppy reps. If you don't increase the weight, it doesn't mean you didn't build muscle. You might even have a bad day and go down in reps slightly, and you can still build muscle. Don't worry about it until you start to see a trend. If you spend several mesocycles not increasing or decreasing, it may be time for a deload or to switch exercises to something else. All right, warm-up sets, they're exactly that. They're intended to warm up the muscle by pumping blood to the area. It's important that you feel the target muscle while working, as a lot of people, they'll lose that mind-muscle connection as the resistance gets heavier. If there are any mechanical issues, then this would be the time to fix it. Warm-up sets should increase in resistance with each set, but you should not induce any undue fatigue. Do not take warm-up sets to failure, right? If you're burning out on your warm-up sets, then you're doing too much. Feeder sets are similar to warm-up sets, but these are typically done when the muscles are already warm after you've already performed one or two exercises for the target muscle. For example, I like to program my hack squat at the very end of my training session. I might have already performed uh, leg extensions for a rest pause set, RDLs, adductors, and calf raises for top and back off sets. My muscles are warm. There's no need for warm-up sets at this point. However, my top set on hack squats might be 9 plates per side. I'm not going to jump straight into 9 plates per side. That's ridiculous. So I might even start at 1 plate per side, and I'll just do 1 to 3 reps, adding a plate per side for each feeder, right? So I might do a total of 8 feeder sets, and I'm just priming my body for the increased load. Okay, let's talk about working sets. So top and back off sets are just straight sets to failure. Your top set will be the most resistance you lift for the exercise being performed. And typically I suggest you select a resistance where you'll fail between 8 and 12 reps for compound movements and 12 to 15 reps for isolation movements. After you perform your top set to failure, you'll rest 2 to 3 minutes. This is individually dependent and it's body part dependent. Some body parts recover faster than others. And then you'll perform your back off set to failure. Your back off set should be 15 to 20% lighter than your top set. So if you did 100 pounds for your top set, then you'll do 85 or you'll do 80 to 85 pounds for your back off set. If you have multiple back-off sets, you'll just decrease the resistance an additional 5 to 10% with each set. All right, one of my favorite intensifiers is the rest pause set. So a rest pause set is actually 3 sets or more where you're trying to eclipse a target number with a short rest period in between sets. Typically, I would suggest a target number of 20, and you choose a resistance where you fail at 12 reps. Perform the exercise to failure, then take 15 deep breaths. Then you perform the exercise to failure again, take 15 deep breaths. Perform the exercise to failure, and hopefully at this point, you've reached your 20 total reps. So maybe you got 12 on the first one, 5 on the second one, and 3 on the last one. If not, if you only got 2 on the last one, you're going to perform 15 deep breaths and perform the exercise again. For advanced lifters, you can choose 15 reps and select a resistance where you fail between 8 and 10 reps. However, know if you fail at 8 reps, you might only get 2 to 3 on the second set, and you're going to have a bunch of singles until you hit 15 reps. Could turn into 5 to 7 sets, which is pretty damn brutal, but it's effective. Our muscle rounds are often referred to as myo reps, but they're slightly different. So myo reps performed after you take a top set to failure. Then you perform sets of low reps with short rest periods until you miss your target reps. Muscle rounds are performing 6 rounds of 4 to 6 reps each with 6 deep breaths in between rounds. So again, you choose a resistance where you fail around 12 reps. Then you're going to perform this for 4 to 6 reps over 6 rounds with 6 deep breaths between rounds. It's up to you to choose what rep to start with. I'd usually choose 4 for compound movements and 5 for isolation movements. The first 3 rounds are going to be really easy. The last 3 rounds, not so much. Always take the last round to failure. This is going to determine whether you need to increase the number of reps or increase the resistance next time. If you don't make it to the 6th round, then you went too heavy. If you don't hit your target number in the 6th round, that's okay. You just got some work to do. If you did more, then you need to make a decision. I'll usually stick with the reps until I get up to 6. So, if I went over, and I was doing 4, I'd go to 5 reps. If I went over with my 5, I'd go to 6 reps. If I go over with my 6, then I'd increase weight, and then I'd go back down to 4 reps and then start the process over again. If you spend enough time in the gym, most people are familiar with the drop set. This is where you perform an exercise to failure. Typically, it'd be in the 10 to 15 rep range. You're going to decrease the resistance 10 to 20%. Without resting, you're going to perform the exercise to failure again. Decrease the resistance 10 to 20% without resting. You're going to perform the exercise to failure one more time. It's best if you use it on pin selected equipment, so like your lat pull downs, your cable towers, and stuff like that. But if you have a couple spotters or training partners, you can do it on plate loaded as well. Typically 3 sets to failure is enough, but you can get pretty crazy with it. We've done them on the leg press, starting with 10 plates per side and working all the way down to 1. It's pretty crazy volume. All right, so the rest pause set was one of my favorites. All right, the Widowmaker is my favorite. I almost always perform this on the hack squat, horizontal leg press, or hip sled. How you perform the Widowmaker is you perform your top set to failure. So this would be somewhere around 8 to 10 reps. Then you're going to decrease the resistance 15 to 20%, just like you're going to perform a back off set. So make sure you're going to get your 3 minutes rest. You might even need a little bit more. This is going to get pretty nasty. All right, so you're going to perform 10 to 12 reps, and while you're keeping mechanical tension, so you're doing all this on the hack squat or whatever, your leg press, your knees are still bent. You're going to take 5 deep breaths. You're going to perform 2 reps. You're going to take 5 deep breaths. You're going to perform 2 reps. You're going to keep this going until you can only get 1 rep. You take 5 deep breaths and you perform 1 rep. You're going to do this until you fail. Right? So now you took something that you would normally get 12 to 15 reps with, and you're going to hit 25 plus reps with. Right? So they call it the Widowmaker because if you were to track your blood pressure during this set, which takes 4 to 5 minutes, by the way, it'll get so high it'll no longer read. It's pretty intense. Myomatching sets are something new that I added on this last year as a means to drive hypertrophy with less fatigue than the other intensifiers. The sets are still challenging, but instead of taking all sets to failure, you only take the last one to failure. How you might set this up. So if I look back at my data and see that I performed a specific resistance of 12 reps to failure, so I choose 10 reps as my target. Um, my first set would mean that I'd have 2 to 3 reps in reserve, as I might have gotten a little stronger since my last session. My second set, I'm a little fatigued, um, and it's probably closer to 1 to 2 reps in reserve. And then on the last set, I'm going to fail somewhere between 9 and 10 reps, right? So, and the time in between sets really kind of individually dependent and body part dependent. Might be 2 to 3 minutes, depending. The science on hypertrophy states that the last 5 reps before failure are the ones that drive the most muscle protein synthesis. So in this case, you would have done probably 8 to 10 really good reps and only went to failure once. So this is highly effective, especially if you're cutting, your joints are taking a beating, or other factors are limiting you in the gym. The last intensifier I use is the superset. I don't use them a lot. Pretty much just 2 exercises. The first is the Hanshaw lateral. It's named appropriately as I got it from Dusty Hanshaw. So how you set this up, you'll choose a resistance that you can perform around 20 reps to failure. Perform to set to failure using the full range of motion. Now immediately double the resistance and perform the exact same number of reps, but only using the bottom 1/3 of the range of motion. I've been told by my clients to feel like a penguin when doing these, so we call them penguins. If you're someone who likes to cheat and use your traps, your back and momentum to lift the dumbbells on lateral raises, then you'll do these seated. If you can perform them with strict form, you can do them standing. So, I also I've done these with chest supported rear delt flies. However, again, if you're someone who likes to use your traps in your back to raise the dumbbells, this exercise won't work for you. You'll only feel it in your traps and not your rear delts. So now we've covered all the intensifiers. I'm going to tell you when not to use them. Should not use them on squats, deadlifts, hinge movements like RDLs and good mornings, and on barbell rows to include corner bar and Meadows rows. These exercises are complex compound movements where even the slight bit of fatigue is going to increase your likelihood of injury. I'd also use caution on dumbbell presses. A lot of people forget about the sheer amount of energy and effort it takes to get dumbbells into position to perform a lift. If you're doing a muscle round and you do 12 continuous reps and you think you're going to get 6 rounds of 4 reps, I've got news for you. You might find after 3 rounds you don't have any energy to stabilize the dumbbells any longer. Dumbbell rows, they're very fatiguing, far more than people realize. I don't know what it is, just being bent over, you just get out of breath pretty quick. The only thing I'd use the hack squat and leg press for is the Widowmakers and drop sets. If you try doing these to true rest pause, you're likely going to get rhabdomyolysis. Um, Muscle protein breakdown is just going to be too much. All right. I hope this cleared some things up. Even those who've been doing this for a long time, still screw it up every once in a while. I can see it in the numbers, especially the rest pause sets. If you truly go to failure on the first set, I can pick within 1 rep how many you'll get on the second set of any exercise with 100% accuracy. It's never failed. Been doing this forever. I just know how people work. However, if you have gone to true failure, you'll be good to go. I see many who don't. If you ever have any questions, hit me up. Um, if you're local and you have a training session, if you want to get a training session with me, either helping you with yours or you just want to jump in on one of mine, just let me know. All right. So if you're being coached, I don't charge you any extra for a training session every once in a while. Right. So, all right. Talk to y'all later.